brand new idea. So here, our third last lecture. After today, we've got 2 more. And then you go off into the world, and I hope you learn more about web development. Maybe with the assistance of Lighthouse Labs, maybe not. Either way, we've given you a taste. And here's something that if you do pursue this is a concept that you got to get this down, right? This solves a lot of problems, and you don't need to solve these things over again when they've already been solved for you. If you want to be a good programmer, you got to be lazy like that. So we're going to talk about RESTful routes. REST, because it's in capital letters, you can tell already that this is some sort of acronym. And we're going to talk about getting data from the URL, which we've actually kind of done already, with the params hash, but we're going to review that again, and we're going to also do a review on how to dry up our code with partials, and these are view partials. So most of this will be touched on in the demo, and all of it will definitely be touched on in the coursework after the lecture stops. So RESTful routing. REST stands for representative state transfer. In the simplest terms, it provides the routes that you define in your Sinatra application to do these create, read, update, and delete, collectively known as CRUD, these CRUD operations on your database. REST was actually somebody's PhD thesis in 2000 or 2001. And I always mention this every single time because I still to this day think it's hilarious that in 2003, when I finally finished my first degree, a lot of the jobs out there were looking for 5 years of REST experience. And you know what? It had only been invented like 2 years ago. So go figure, right? This is what a RESTful route looks like. And this is the kind of the default that Rails will give you. This isn't a Rails thing by any stretch. This is, I'm going to say it's a de facto standard. Like there's no standard body that regulates any of this kind of stuff. This is just stuff that we've all come to agree upon is probably the best way to do it. And if you've got a better way, there's nothing stopping you. No one's come up with a better way that I know of. It's not the be all and end all of interaction over the web, but it's very effective for what it is. So when you get a collection of RESTful routes, you know that there's some sort of entity or model in the database behind it. And we've been using this to-do task kind of model for the last few lectures. If I want to create a model, there's actually 2 parts to that. And this is all stuff that you're going to see inside your actions.rb. I would say get post new. And whenever you see a get, you know that there has to be a view behind it, right? So we need all these 7 routes to create, read, update, and delete our to-dos in our to-do database, or a to-do table in our database, I should say. There's one that's not strictly RESTful. Maybe it is. I'm not actually sure. But if you want to look at all the to-dos, we got this special route right up here. So, this looks kind of weird. It's in this table and all this kind of stuff, but you're going to see this when I demonstrate to how to define these routes. There's going to be one definition for each of these. Now, interestingly here, Patcher put, at least in the Sinatra Rails world, we treat these as synonymous. There's no distinction in Rails. I'm not really sure that there's any distinction in Sinatra. What these are meant to do, it's not easy to guess. These are updates. So this is the U in the CRUD. You do perform a patch method when you want to change something inside the database. And of course, the rest are easy to guess, right? Delete is going to remove it from the database. Get, this is for the user's benefit. This is for the human benefit. It's going to retrieve a view that allows you to edit, or it's going to retrieve a view that displays the content of, well, we're using a post example here, but a to-do or whatever it may be. And when we want to create one, we send a post. You should recognize these, right? When we have the forms, these are the method attributes in a form. These are the action attributes. So we'll take a look at that. So don't stress about it too much. This is one of those routes, though. Now, you should be able to guess just by looking at you. I'm not expecting you to do it, but just by looking at this with a little bit of experience and a little bit of knowledge of what REST is, you should be able to guess that this is a show route, right? Let's go back here. Say get, oh yeah, here it is, posts. Oh, and there's a parameter. This is going to show up in that params hash. Show a single post. So someone went, clicked on something and just wanted to see all the details contained inside of there. So this thing right here, this parameter becomes this key right here. So, you know, if you got an ID, post ID 35, that ID is going to be used to retrieve that post from the database. This is nothing you haven't seen before. You assign that post that's been retrieved to an instance variable. You render the corresponding show view, and it displays all those details for you. And yeah, notice here. So anything after this slash, you know, it's going to be something numeric. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but yeah, it typically is. And this is what's used to retrieve that value from the database. So, okay, so this is that wildcard. So this is just kind of expounding upon that previous point here. This is how we define these routes. This is just one possible parameter. You can keep putting slashes on here and giving them unique names and retrieving them from the params hash as required. It wouldn't be strictly RESTful, but as I said, this isn't a strict standard. It's strict in the sense that, you know, this is what's required to be RESTful, but it's not strict in the sense that no one's forcing you to use it. This is just one option of potentially many. It's probably the best one, though, when you get down to it. Dry, of course. Don't repeat yourself. You'll find a lot of times, and this is like really where this becomes evident. So just, you know, hypothetically, let's skip back a few slides here. We're talking about, okay, I want to create a new post. This one, the view that I retrieve using this get method is probably going to be awfully similar to this one that I'm using to edit, right? So we can reuse this code. We don't have to, well, we do have to define two views, but these views can recycle the same form, for example, to make an update. So that's how we use partials to do that. Is there another good example there? No, probably edit and new are probably the best examples of that. Oh, and that's a real short one. Okay, so here's the partial. That's what we were just talking about. Rendering a partial is no different than rendering an entire view in, say, an action controller. You guys are familiar with this method call, of course. You type in ERB, you give it the path, you give it the symbol to which it corresponds. It spits that out in the response body that the server comes up with. You can do the exact same thing inside the view. You can render a view, call ERB. The only stipulation is, of course, that you need this special alligator tag with the equal sign to make sure it actually displays. Another stipulation, this is kind of unique, I suppose, to this kind of calling it in this context, is this locals hash. So if you need to pass any information to the partial, it's not going to get it from the instance variable. You got to pass that manually through this locals hash. Okay, that's a little bit more of that. Oh, this is, oh yeah, errors.erb, another excellent opportunity to use a partial. You might create a new view, which causes errors. You might try to update a new view. You can make a little block of ERB code that comes out as HTML, and you can just recycle it across every view, every view that's relevant, at least. So we'll do a little bit of that as well. So I'm just going to drop back out of this, and we're going to do demo. And you're going to see, and I hope you understand as well. All right. So if I come back to here, I want to bring up, whoops, I'm actually editing the thing there. I want to use this as my start point. So we've got to create 7 routes. Now I went ahead just as part of preparation here. This is, again, nothing that you haven't seen before. This is that to-do list that I just used as a very simple demonstration, hoping to get you to grasp these concepts. So I've taken the liberty here of creating a to-do model right here. And if you're just curious, here's the migration. So very simple. It's only got 3 columns. 3 in that, it has that description of that task, that thing I need to do. And the 2 columns created at and updated at that come along with making this call to timestamps, right? Not super relevant, but it's kind of a hard habit to break. I basically just always put these in, whether I need them or not, because sometimes they just come in handy. So first thing, here's my actions.rb. Nothing. We're starting with a clean slate aside from this index.erb. The server is running, but it's just this, skeletal hello world application from which I always launch. So coming back here, I can find out all the things I need, and I'm just going to sketch them in just so you see and just see how you actually build this thing up. So first thing, I need to show all posts, and I'm going to recycle this one right here. I'll call this index show all to-dos. And then I'll do a couple other ones here. And I'm going to use this is kind of a Rails thing. This is what we name our methods. It's a little bit different in Sinatra, but this is going to show one to-do. And I haven't actually created this view, but it's going to render this show view. So I'm just going to put this stuff in anticipation of actually using it. What else do I got? I need to be able to create a post. This one doesn't look much different. I think you guys have seen this before. So I'm going to recycle this because it's pretty much the same. I'll call this one, whoops. I call this one create a new to-do item. Same route. When I talk about the route, I'm talking about this slash, and I'm talking about this slash ID and this slash new and all that kind of stuff. That's what we refer to as the route.
So does your show actually show all, or just a single?
The show is just going to show one. The point I'm trying to make here, though, is that these routes are the same. It's the HTTP verb. Yeah, this one's going to show all of them. This one is one we're going to pass an ID to, and it's going to show one to-do. And this, this just to demonstrate, will maybe show the created at and the updated at. We'll see how that kind of stuff works. So, yeah, different HTTP verbs. Get, post, put, patch, delete. And which one am I missing here? Oh, that's all of them. Okay, that's all of them. They use the same root, but they do totally different things because they're verbs, different actions. So that's number 3. Sorry, got to refer to my notes. Oh, yes, right. Okay. So we've got 3 of our routes defined, or did we do it? We did 4. Oh no, we need to create a new to-do. So I'll do that down here. And because I hate holding the shift key all the time, I often like just to grab some old code, do that. Sorry, which one was it?
You already got to create new posts.
But I don't. Okay, so now here's the thing. Another interesting thing, and I'm glad you said that, was because just today, the full-time bootcamp students is like, well, I've already got a route defined to create a new post. The thing is that the post method has no corresponding view. Remember this kind of minor point that I sort of glossed over here? It is minor, but it's not minor. It's actually pretty significant. If you look at this redirect, like, there's no view associated with a post directly, right? So we have the means to actually create this in the database. So we have that C, but we have no corresponding view in which to enter the data. So this is how we accommodate that. This is show. So now I want to do new. So this is tightly coupled to that creation. Render form to create new to do. Hopefully you see the distinction here. This one actually creates it. This one just gets the form that allows you to do it. It's a get method. So anytime you see that get, you know that there's going to be some sort of corresponding view. So we got new, we got show, we got create, we've got index. These two guys, oh, we also have to edit. Very important. All right, so let's do that one. I'm going to recycle this because I'm going to need that parameter. Edit, or let's say change a to-do. And of course, this is a get method. We need some sort of form that's going to allow us to change the data that gets sent to the to Sinatra, and then in turn sent to the database. So did I get that right? It's going to have a parameter, which is going to be an ID in the database, and then it's got that edit on the tail end of it, which distinguishes it from other views. An update. So now this one is coupled to this edit view. And what does that route look like again? Should just be, oh yes, ID, right? So we don't need anything. We're going to have a path that looks very similar. This is going to be the update. Save the changed to do to the database. So I'm trying to make these, outline this, the different things, the different purposes that these serve. This is not a get method. This is one of these patch or puts. These are synonymous. Now, I'm not actually sure in Sinatra. I've never actually tried a patch. There probably is one, but the one I always use is put. I don't know, maybe patch is more descriptive, but that's just the one I always use. There's no corresponding view here. Well, there is, but it comes in an indirect way, because remember how we always redirect on success. So you're going to see that in action momentarily. One last one, the delete. The delete is really interesting, and maybe you'll see why in just a bit. Delete, remove the to-do from the database. And of course, this one doesn't have any sort of view as well. All of these gets, here's the edit view, here's a get new, a get ID, or sorry, that's a post, my mistake. And this index, how many is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 4 views. One for each one of these special CRUD operations, or at least the user half of that, right? All of this stuff doesn't actually change the database. It just serves up the interface through which the user changes the database. I think that's a fair way to put that. So what I'm going to do, so I've got my index and I've got my typical layout view. So I'm going to make just I'm going to sketch in a couple of extra views here. We'll make a new file called show.erb. We'll make a new file called Why is it doing that? Come on. What are you doing? There we go. We need an edit.erb. And we need a new. Now there's going to also be kind of a couple of partials mixed in here, but we're going to wait till we see ourselves actually repeating this code, and then we're going to dry it up by creating some new files. Currently, there's nothing in there though. Let's let's make let's just put a couple of placeholders in here. We'll say h1 edit to do. And then I'll open up new, say create new to do, show. Well, we don't need to say create or show to do. We'll just say to do. I don't know. I think I like to use as few words as possible when doing this kind of stuff. Okay, so I need to save a couple of these. We can try these out as well. This one didn't save. Why didn't that save? Okay, so come back to here. We're going to want to, have this index view display all our to-dos. We don't have any just yet, but we're going to have to create some appropriate links as well. So all of these routes that I just defined, I can make GET requests from the browser by entering it in the URL. So here's my edit. I put /edit right up at the top there. And there's, oh, is that what I had put in there? I thought I said edit to do. I did. Why did that happen? Oh, of course. Hang on. Hang on. To do. Sorry. That's, I don't have any to-dos yet. Never mind. Okay, so let's just try new. Sorry, I knew that. I just said it and I didn't do it. I didn't heed my what on earth? New to-do. Oh, right. Okay, any guesses as to why this is happening? They're all rendering index. Bloody heck. Yeah. All right, so I don't want that one. That one's silly. We don't need that one. We need that one. Get new. Well, new should do it. New looks like it works. Okay, we'll take a look there. We can't do edit yet because we don't actually have any. Where's my show? This is show. All right, so we're not quite there yet. We actually got to make a couple things in which we can to-do. So the first thing we do, let's make sure our new view works. And it doesn't. Or does it? What on earth? New to-do, new.erb. Did I not render that? ERB new. Create new to do. Huh. Am I doing something really silly here? Okay, so when something weird like this happens, and this is weird, full disclosure here, I have no idea what's going on. I like to come here and just, see if there's any sort of errors reported to the console. And that should be your first resort as well. No errors. Sources. There's my new. It's just got this thing, which is very strange. Timeline. It didn't record my timeline, so if I refresh, I should see, oh, there we go. That's what I want. Nothing untoward here, not yet. Next thing to do, because it seems to be operating normally, I suspect This is the show one. So this is the one that seems to be actually getting rendered. So I'm just going to put a bunch of exclamation points behind it and see if this is in fact the correct view. Yeah. So for some reason, when I call new, it's rendering show. Question is why? Oh, it's the order. Hang on here. Post new. Sorry, I might have to make a quick fix here. Oh, there it is. Okay. That's pretty goofy, I got to admit. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. So here's an explanation as to what is happening, and this is why it was kind of confusing. Remember how I said that anything can go in here, right? We were looking at this this slide, and it was kind of giving you this idea. It's like, okay, so you define this method. This is the show view as an example, and this ID takes on anything. Now, in perfect world, in practical terms as well, it always takes on one of these numbers. It doesn't have to be a number though. It can be a string of characters. So what was happening there, having defined new after this route, it was assigning that new value. Now, I think this is worth just demonstrating. So I'm gonna put this back to where it was in its broken state. And I'm going to take this, make sure it's still broken. And I can show you what's actually being contained here. So I say, okay, let's save ourselves some work here, just in anticipation of what's going to happen. So I'm going to assign an instance variable. But for now, I'm just going to find out what's actually stored inside that ID. There we go. And if I go to the show view, and I'll make it nice and big, header 2. See, sometimes, I always say that, sometimes it's so helpful, and other times it's like, come on, are you kidding me? Equals ampersand to do. So whatever is assigned to this to do instance variable, is what's coming from params ID. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to spoil it for you. It's new, right? So it matters what order you put these things in. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, right? Pretty goofy. So now if I put this thing in here, see, I can do anything. So ideally, this should have been some digit, right? So maybe we have 12 items to do. Maybe I want to see what number 8 is. I just put an 8 behind there. Now it takes on the number 8. Pretty goofy. All right, so we can fix that, just being mindful of where we define these routes. So something you should be aware of, because this could easily happen to you. Look how easily it happened to me when you're doing your work. The order in which these defined top one takes precedence, it looks like, which is kind of surprising. I think it'd be the last one. Okay, so back on track. We've got to actually enter in we actually have to give our user a form in which to create a to-do. So the same old thing, say form action. You guys have seen this all before, so we know that when we're done with this, when the user presses submit, we want this to go to the corresponding post action. We're going to take, we're going to put a label in here. This is, again, nothing new. It's all stuff you've seen before. Here's my task. Here's my input type, which is going to equal text. It's just regular old text input. And this name, this is what gets put into the that params. So when we're posting that data and we go to, the post route in our Sinatra application, we can retrieve what was entered there by saying params, square bracket, colon, task. Then we need one more input type, and that is the button that actually sets this all in motion. I can change this to whatever I want. I like to use descriptive labels here, so I'm going to say create new to do, just like that. And I like to put that slash on the end. That's optional. That's just me being old-fashioned, I think, more than anything. Okay, so let's take a look at it. We can dress this up a little bit as well. But right now, let's just make sure it works. Oh, that's my other one here. I need to go to new. There we are. Create a new to-do. It's kind of small, but I think you guys can all see it. You know what? Let's just make it a little bit bigger because I'm eventually going to have to do it anyway. So front end's ready to go here, but we have nothing to receive it on the back end. Of course, I did sketch in these routes. You saw me do it just a few minutes ago. But when it actually gets here, it's not going to do anything, right? It's just junk. So, I could say, nice try. So now when I press that button, all it's going to do is say, well, nice try. Right? It needs to do something with that. Again, just for more illustration, this is what's inside the params. This is what we collected with that form data. So when you leave, the last line to be executed is the value to be returned. So I should see the string output of the params hash. Whoops. Let's go back here. I have to put something in here. I don't know. I don't actually own a dog, but let's say I did. Probably gonna have to give him a bath. Oh, goodness. What happened there? Let's try this instead. Yielded non-string. Yes. There we go. Okay, so that's what it looks like, right? If I want to find out, a specific item in that hash, I just index it. Easy enough. Again, nothing new. That's the value. This is the label I set over here in task. I can change that to anything. That's where that's coming from, just so you know. So now you're going to just see that one single value displayed to the screen. There we go. It's because I indexed it. Took it out, referenced or dereferenced it. Now I can see what's in there. So I got to take this value, create a new database object, and then save it. And if I'm successful, then great. If not, then I've got to do something different. But before I do that, right now this isn't exactly user-friendly. If I come to my website right now, I just on the landing page here, I have no idea what's going on here. It just says hello world. I have no way to create a new to-do or anything. So I'm just going to dress it up really quickly, make it a little bit more usable. The easiest way to do that is to, actually give it a more descriptive thing. Here, let's do this. Let's give the user an idea of what this actually does. All right, stuff I've got to get done. And I need a link. So I do that in the layout. Remember, everything, there's that mysterious yield method. That's taking that index.erb and it's putting it between this sandwich in between these body tags here. So I will say, okay, let's make a nav bar. Let's just make a href. Give it a path, new, and say create new to do. I think I use a capital N. I'm pretty picky about that stuff. And one more. We should also do a home page, just because we got to have some way to get back to where we started. So this should look a little nicer. It should be a little bit easier to use. Just all these kind of things you have to think about, right? You really do need to put the user first when you're developing for the web. So if I click that, it just brings me here. Say I want to create a new to-do. Where'd it go? Huh? Sure, it's taking a long time. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now I can navigate back and forth. Oh. Bow. Beautiful. Okay. So let's actually put this thing in the database. Nothing new. Really, the only thing you're seeing new today is this this notion of restfulness. You know, how do we accommodate this this crazy idea that we should be able to create, read, and update stuff in our database? We're going to do this really simple way, and I'm gonna purposefully make an error just so you don't think I'm totally out to lunch here. But I'm going to say to do equals to do dot new, and I'm going to pass it my params. Params is just a hash, right? And when you want to create a new thing, you always just pass it a hash. So nothing remarkable here. And then I'm going to try to save it. Yeah, I'm going to make this crash. Watch what happens. I'm going to make it crash by not entering anything to do, because remember last day we put those validations on. Oh, should have crashed. What happened? I promise I did put validations on here. Here's the task. Here's the presence. Oh, I know what to do. Okay, I got to make it crash hard. So this is an active record convention. It just kind of failed silently. These type of errors, when they fail silently, can just suck up your time. Let's try that again. So blank to do. This is no good. Oh, crash hard, right? The exclamation point. Validation failed. Task can't be blank, right? It'd be really nice if we could just give this to the user somehow. You tell them you forgot to enter a task. You're going to enter a blank item in your list of things to do. So to do that, we just put this little condition in here. We say if, now here's where that redirection comes in. If the save was successful, then send me back to the home page. I want to take a look at my itemized list. If it doesn't save, if this call to save here returns false because there was some error, then just show me that new view again, because this is the form that I'm using to create a new to do. So I want to offer my user a second chance. All right, let's try that again. Create to do. Still not quite what we want, right? It's not giving us that stuff back. And you saw me do this the other day. I hope you remember anyway. I was trying to get those square brackets off of all that list of errors. But that is there. And this object that I create, it still exists, but it hasn't actually been saved to the database. Now, let's see if I can remember from last day. Let's see if I learned anything. What I want is if there are any errors, I got to make a check. So let's say if to do dot errors dot any, that's a nice handy Ruby type method. End. Okay. So how did we do this last day, Nick? Sorry to interrupt you. What was it? Full messages that we had to iterate over?
I need new errors first.
It was, okay, so it was something like, sorry, let's get rid of that. Ampersand to do dot errors. Oh, sorry, the class participation is very welcome. Dot errors. Dot each. I think that's what it is. So this is going to be error. Beautiful. And inside of there, I'm just going to put out that error message. You know what? Let's give this a slightly more descriptive, say, message. There we go. little bit more descriptive. It's very helpful to be precise in what you're doing here. Okay, that should be enough. Let's try it. So blank to do. If everything goes well, task can't be blank. Wonderful, beautiful. So at this point, we can enter a to do. I'm going to say I need to wash this imaginary dog. My children keep saying, "Can we get a dog?" And I say, "You can get a dog when you learn to take care of the owl," because they're terrified of owls. Every time we've been talking about owls since they were babies, I go, "The owl," right? This terrifies them. So I say, "And the owl is going to be much easier to take care of. And when you can take care of the owl, then we can get you a dog." Just a little trick if you're going to have children. Okay, so actions. So now we did create a to-do, and we're back here at our home page. I know I've got to get this dog washed because he stinks, but it's not actually up here on the screen. So, this is something I need to add to my index. And I think I sketched this in. Did I sketch this in the actions? Oh, no, not yet. This is where it's landing. This is the index page. I need to retrieve all the things I need to do. So I'll make a plural from the database at this point. To-do.all. Really easy, right? Couldn't be simpler. Then, of course, over here in index, I need some way to display this to the screen. Since I assigned it to an instance variable, to-dos, each do, to-do. Too many do's and to-dos and all this kind of stuff. Maybe this is a bad example. Maybe I'll come up with some other things so it's less difficult to distinguish all these do's and to-dos and do each. Here, now for each one of these, I'm just going to make it a header. I can make it a list. I can do whatever I want. It doesn't really matter. But this is nice and big, so it's good for displaying it to the screen. Now in each one of these, what I do is just give the task. No problem. So I've got one thing to do. Hopefully this works. I press refresh, or I can even click down here since I gave myself a convenient link. Oh, there we are. Wash the dog. There you go. Get it done. Okay, pretty easy stuff. Now I can create a new one. Undefined. Oh, silly mistake. Amateur mistake. Look at what I did. Problem, errors. There's no such thing as to do. Right? Didn't see that one coming. So I got to make it. What happened was I came here. I rendered the new, right? And it goes over to here in this ERB file. And the first thing it does is says, oh, does to-do have any errors? No, to-do's nil. There's no errors method defined on to-do. I need to make a new to-do, right? So this is getting crazy. To and to-do. All right. Easy to solve. And this is like by convention what we do. Whoops. We just declare an empty one, just like this. Say to-do equals to-do.new. Much more convenient than the alternative. You're just going to have to kind of trust me on this. I just, speak from experience, and this is the way it's done. Just create an empty to-do, solves all your problems, makes your code nice and clean. So now this time when, I got something else to do, go create to-do. Oh, there we go, right? There's a to-do there. It doesn't have any errors, so it skips over that. No problem. Problem solved. Buy diagnostic device for minivan. This is actually what I was looking for today. I want to do with these. I know there's some car people in here, but like that OBD stuff. I want to buy those because I'm like the perfect guy to get ripped off by a mechanic. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to get one of those. That's an actual item on my list of things to do. Okay, so here we are. We can create. We can't really read it yet, though, right? So let's do the easy stuff, the low-hanging fruit. I want to be able to actually click on this thing and find out when I wrote this down, when it was created, when it was updated. No problem. I've already got this show. This is the one that causes so much problems, remember? I've already got this thing sketched in. So what I'm going to do is just add a couple of things here. We'll say task. We'll say created at. Now, bear in mind, I still haven't done what I need to do on the back end here. So let's make this smaller just to make it look a little nicer, I guess. And updated at. There we go. Oops, got to update this label as well. There we are. Okay, so I have this. Let's see our show controller action. Where'd it go? Where is it? Down here. Here we are. Oh, we already did. Oh, see, this is why I sketched it in, right? So now all I have to do is say to do find. Remember how I did that? I think you remember how I did that. I was demonstrating what actually gets contained in that ID. So at this point, this is pretty good. It's getting there. Let's see if it works. So, and just because SQL is like, it's a very primitive database management system, I know that it starts at 1. So I can put a /1 there, and I should see the details for washing the dog. But no one's actually going to do that, right? No one wants to actually enter that, guess the ID and then enter it by hand. So it would be far better when it comes up, be far better if I could just click on it, right? Make that an entire link, and it takes me so I can see the details of when it was updated, when it was created, and all the rest. No problem. Come to our index. Sorry, my eyes are going. There it is. Yep. Thank you. And I'm just going to wrap this in an ahref. So I say ahref, and this is going to the ID number. So I can use this string interpolation. There's actually a nicer way to do this, but we're going to do this the hard way, so to speak. Thanks. And I put it on the end here, just like that. Now I should be able to click on this, if I did this correctly, of course. There's always opportunities, so many opportunities for error when you're doing this thing. So again, always just go slow. You've heard me say this a million times. Just make sure it works. So I want to see when I decided I needed to wash the dog. Oh, what happened there? Something went wrong. Oh, you know what? I need alligator tags. That doesn't make a lick of sense. I'm doing it like the Ruby way. See, good thing I checked. Got to go slow. All right, so take this. I need that special alligator tag that has that little equal sign there. All right, this should work a little bit better. All right, wash the dog. There we go. All right, go home. Works pretty good. Buy diagnostic device for minivan. Maybe buy a new minivan. I think getting too expensive to fix. All right. Okay, so create, read. Still need to update. Oh my goodness. And we're already at like 7 o'clock, but we're going to do this. We're going to push through hopefully in the next 15 minutes. And then we need to delete. Delete's the tricky one. It's kind of interesting how this happens, but yeah, you'll see in just a moment. So for now, though, you know what? I think we've had enough of this one. No, we still need that one. We don't really need this one. We can put this one away for now. We're going to bring this one up again momentarily. I think edit, updating is probably the next big task we've got. So how do we do this? Now, this is where we get to this point where we need to dry out our code with partials. Because, what are you going to do when you edit? You're going to need the exact same inputs you had when you were creating a new one, right? So it doesn't make a lot of sense to take all this stuff out, error code included, right? It'd be better to define this somewhere else because we've repeated ourselves. Right there is a dead giveaway. We don't want to do this. So I'm going to create our first partial. While I'm at it, just for the sake of time, I'm going to actually create another partial as well for these errors, just to give you an idea of how this is done. So first one, we'll do the errors first. Errors.erb. Second one is going to be a descriptive name here, of course, would be well, we could call it form, I guess. I guess that's reasonably descriptive. It is what it is. We've only got one, so there's no confusing it for something else. Let's open up that form, paste all this good stuff in here, and open up that error and paste all that good stuff in there. Here's a problem, though. This is where, we got to start thinking about how we're going to render this thing. The partial isn't going to be able to see this instance variable. It's a really handy thing, when you've got that ERB and you've called it inside the controller action, but that is not accessible here. So I'm going to take off these. Actually, maybe it is. All right, let's not mess around. I'm really actually kind of curious to see if I could get away with that, but we're going to take that off right now. So you kind of got a peek at how to do this, or how to contend with this issue back here in the slides. This is that locals hash right here. This thing. I need to, when I'm rendering my form, pass that instance variable so that the partial becomes aware of this value. That's how we do it. So I'm going to actually just copy that so I don't make any typing mistakes. And I'm going to come back to my edit. So this is the one that we're just starting on now. So let's copy a little bit more of that. Oh, this one did the exact same thing I'm doing right now. How convenient. I missed that angle bracket, but that's okay. And to do, just like that. So I got the errors. I need now the form. And it's basically the same thing, right? So if I come back to my form partial here, where's form? There we are. Well, I don't even need that. Shoot. That should be okay without that. Don't need to pass any. Don't need to pass that to do. All right, so let's let's just take a peek, try it out. We don't have any easy way to get there now, but again, since I know that this is starts at 1, I can just put that on the path there. So that's a /1 and then a /edit. We'll hit that route and keep my fingers crossed. Did it work? Oh, there it is. Wonderful. Oh, you know what? I do need to. That's actually okay. Yeah, but you're right. We need something here on the home screen. But we're not going to edit everything at once. We're just going to edit things one at a time. So I actually need some way to click on this and to edit. Now, the easy way, I think, and maybe this is the best way to do it. Let's just keep it nice and simple. I think here would be a good place down here, right here, to give it an edit link. So now I can go in, I can change it, check it out afterwards. Okay, so let's go to our show view. I put that one away prematurely. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. I'll say H3 A href, and I want to be able to edit todo.id /edit, just like that. And I give it a descriptive label, edit, just like that. Okay, let's try it out. If I refresh, that thing should appear right at the bottom. And this will take me to my destination. So everything's kind of in place, at least from the user's perspective. Of course, it doesn't actually do anything yet.
Well, the button on that one says create new to do.
Oh, that's, yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a problem. I'm not sure we're going to get to that, but yeah, it's actually easy to fix. But we still got to delete these things, so let's focus on that first. Okay, so everything's in on the front end. The user experience and all these things that we consider are shaping up. But we don't actually have the to-do here, first of all. So let's grab this guy. Find params. I'm sort of like struggling with how deep I want to get into this right now. Okay, let's just leave that for now. We actually have nothing here to update this thing, though. This is that put method, right? These HTTP verbs, put and patch, are synonymous. I have not defined that. So let me refer to my notes so I don't screw up. It's going to look very similar to the create. Not quite the same, but very similar. So you know what? In fact, I'm even, come on. Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen here. I'm even going to just copy and paste this and recycle it so I can do less typing. But not going to actually do a new one. I'm going to find by params ID. And then I say if to do update. I pass it params. Is that going to work? Let's say we'll just do task, because really there's only one field here. Whoops. Otherwise, give me another chance to edit. So very similar, but different. Let's see if it actually works. That's always the thing. Is it actually going to work? Let's go back to here. Okay, don't have a dog. Going to edit that. I don't actually have an owl either, but okay, let's wash the owl. It says I'm going to create it. It's not actually creating it. Oh no, it just created a new one. What the heck? So what happened to my dog? Still needs a bath. Wash the dog. Oh, what happened? Oh, shoot. Oh, geez. Okay. Edit. Okay, so now here's the funny thing about HTTP verbs. These things I keep talking about, get and push and patch and all that kind of stuff. From the browser side of it, there's only really two. There's get and post. So how do you trick Sinatra into thinking that you need to update this thing? It's not something immediately obvious, and you're going to be, if this had happened to you, you're probably going to be searching Stack Overflow. Oh, this actually complicates things. I'm going to have to just cheat because we're running out of time here. It's not exactly dry. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. What you need is this. It's a trick. And this is a trick specifically for Sinatra, and then Rails has its own version. What this is saying is that, okay, well, it's not actually a post. It is a post, but when it gets to Sinatra, I want you to treat it like this. That's what's happening here. And we have to do the exact same thing for delete. So I forgot that. My apologies. Now, having kind of abandoned this thing, though, we can improve this right away. This was actually kind of a happy accident. Because when I want to edit this thing, so now I don't have to worry about this value. Update to do. I can just take this thing out, change it. Update to do. Makes a little bit more sense. But I can also insert the existing value. And I think that makes sense, right? So, if I want to know exactly what I'm editing here, I say to do dot task, just like that. And I think you're going to see the improvement right away. Come back to home. Hopefully this works. Wash the dog. Edit. Okay, instead I'm going to wash my rusted out old van here. All right, update to do. Oh, come on. Says I don't have that defined. Why does it say that? Is that right? So I have all these notes to make it look like I'm so slick here. Oh, yes, of course. Hang on. Forgot something pretty important. Forgot to pass it that ID. Silly me. All right. ID. Let's try this now. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Update to do. Do it. Do it. Okay, sorry. Got to refresh. Wash the dog. Wash the van. Is this all futile? Oh, of course. Okay. What this is telling me is that I don't have a hash. I passed it an individual value. This doesn't make sense to active record. I want to change this. I need to say task colon and then the value. Or, well, just to show you that that is the problem, I will do it that way. There's actually a much easier way as well. That's what it's missing. That's what it's looking for. And to make this explicit that this is in fact a hash, I can even wrap it up in these curly braces. All right, let's try that again. This one has proven to be a little bit more difficult. Van. Okay, there you go. Oh my goodness, that took a lot of effort, right? But now when I look at this, now just to show you that updated and created at actually work. So I created this probably, I don't know, like a little while ago. This is, of course, UTC time, so, you know, it's midnight wherever that is. I just changed it. Now the times are different, right? That's how it works. This is all just kind of automatic stuff that Ruby does for you. Okay, one final thing, and that is to delete. Now, if you're just, I kind of mentioned just moments ago in passing that there is an easier way to do this. It's expecting a hash, right? Params is a hash, and we know exactly what params contains. So all we need to do is just pass it the params hash, right? Why not? Just to show you it works. Wash the van. Edit. My dear old van. Here we go. What happened there? Oh my goodness. Oh, right. Oh my goodness. Okay. You know, I should have just cut my mouth shut. The problem is this thing, right? So every time you put a name in here, I had one before, the name is the task, and I had to trick it into making this an update. This is like, weird tricks that web developers do, and you have to know. Now it's got this, but this doesn't exist as a database column. So it's trying to write this thing, and Active Record is saying, well, you don't have a method column. I've got nothing to do. I got nowhere to put this. Okay. Now, since I'm in so deep already, I'm going to see if I can show you another trick. You can actually do this. Not expect, except, I think. I hope this isn't just a Rails thing. Method. Let's try it. So everything except method. Let's try it. Update to do. Still doing that. Okay, screw it. All right. There is a way to do it, I know, but right now we're going to do it the hard way, and that is by passing these things in manually. Because we're at 7:15, I want to get deletes done because this is the last. We've done C, R, U. We're missing the D in CRUD. All right. Let's just sketch this in. So we've got the ID. It's looking kind of the same way. You know, it's looking like this thing here. I've got to find it. And I've got to destroy it. Just like that. And once it's done, I don't really need to test this. I mean, I could. Doesn't really matter, right? We're just removing it from the database. So unless there's some sort of cataclysmic failure here, chances are it's gonna work. Once it's done, just send me back to the home page. So we're still missing something. We need a way to actually delete this. So just like before, when we went to the home page, we want to see this view, and we need a way to get there. So I need something to put right here. It's just going to be delete. It's going to be a path to that route, or a link to that route. Okay. And then you will be free to do what you need to do. So that is in the show view right here. So I'm going to recycle that. href, what did I call it? Ooh, that's a tricky one. How did I not anticipate this? Hang on. Oh, I need to do a whole different thing. There might be a nicer way to do this in Sinatra, but this is what I'm going to do here. I actually have to create a new form. Not making this easy on you guys, am I? Form action. Just doing this real fast. So I'm going to pass it that ID value. I know Rails has a really nice way to do this. It's got a helper method that does all the hard work for you. But this one is going to be sent as a post method. I'm not sure that you can do that with Sinatra. The input. No, I have to trick Sinatra. Where's my form? Oh, there we are. I need to trick it again. That's not it. Edit. That's what I want. This guy. So like I tricked it before with that put statement, this time I need to trick it into deleting because everything's a post or a get. That's why I'm kind of uncertain as to whether I can actually do it that other way. Need another input. Type equals submit. And I say value delete, just like that. So maybe I don't need to do this anymore, or maybe, it was a mistake. So when I come here, so it's not going to look super pretty. My apologies, but we got to get you guys to work. I can delete this, but I kind of want to watch this because it's good to keep your vehicle clean. I don't actually have an owl, so this is the one I'm going to delete. I press delete. I hold my breath. Oh my goodness. Okay, what happened there now? Oh, wait. No, that should be okay. Oh, whoops. I don't have a delete. I said the put. See, this is the danger when you start copying and pasting. So sometimes this laziness will come and bite you back. Okay, one more time. Back to here. Let's refresh this to be safe. I have the choice to either edit or delete. I didn't actually define a delete route. I had it as a put route. That doesn't make any sense. This time it worked. Oh my goodness. All right. A lot of work, eh? So lessons to be learned about REST. It's and as you can see, these things are things we take for granted, right? And we come up with these cutesy acronyms like CRUD. But when you have like an HTTP protocol, which was never really meant to do this, and then some guy comes along like 16 years ago and says, okay, well, this is one way we can do it. Took a lot of work, and I don't know of a better one. So that you saw it in action, and granted, this is a very simple demo, but that is what you are going to do today, I think, as part of your coursework and as part of Instagram, because you've done everything else. Now it's time to meet these cruddy expectations.